Anxiety, one of the most common emotions people experience. And at the same time, it's one of the most damaging and difficult to manage or eliminate. Here's my definition of anxiety from personal experience. Now, this is the Bobby Wisnan definition of anxiety. It's not from a scientific journal. It's not from a medical definition or any kind of dictionary. This is my definition based on my personal experience and my experience of working with others who have it. Here you go. Anxiety, a seemingly relentless, powerful, and disabling fear that latches onto our mind, fully convincing us that something very worrisome and unpleasant is going to happen over and over again, even when we have proof that it won't. Yeah. That's my definition. That's what it felt like to me all the years I experienced disabling anxiety, severe anxiety when I was a young man, for several years growing up, and listening to clients talk to me about their anxieties. This is what I get from it. Today, with episode 22 of my Words of Wisdom, I'm going to show you how my proven methods will help you turn anxiety into power. That's right. Let's go do this thing. Man, we're going to free your mind to forever succeed. And taking care of that anxiety is a big part of it. I know a lot of people have it. I'm going to help you with that today. I'm going to give you 6 steps to go from fear to freedom. Yeah. And that's what it feels like when you are able to manage your anxiety and even eliminate most of it. You feel free. Your mind feels free. You can go back to living your life, man, and you don't have to wake up with anxiety and wonder when that thing's going to creep back in, because it comes out of nowhere. It does. So let's look at it. Let's look at my 6 steps to go from fear to freedom when it comes to anxiety. Number 1, step 1. What's the source? When you're experiencing anxiety, you want to take a look at what is it exactly about which you're anxious. What is it that's creating this place in your this mind that's confused and anxious? What exactly is it? Well, there's a lot of things, right? There's our health. There's something at work. Maybe it's something at work that you're experiencing anxiety about work. Maybe it's a relationship. That's a big one, man. I mean, and I've experienced that myself early on in my life and through my early adulthood. I did have those anxieties, and I know it can just absolutely grab a hold of you. But here's the thing. We want to acknowledge what we feel is the source of the anxiety, because here's the truth. The reality is it's our reaction to the source. It's our reaction to this worrisome thing that's causing this anxiety. Yeah, and you know what I mean. We can ruminate on it. Something happens. We start thinking about anxiety, an anxious situation, and man, we turn it up and we start ruminating, which is basically over and over again, replaying this thing, trying to come up with a solution, which is causing our anxiety to do nothing but go up, to increase. I've been there. And then sometimes, man, you may not even know why you're anxious. You just have this anxious feeling, and you really can't put a hand on what it is that's causing it. What is it? What actually am I anxious about? I've been there. I've worked with people that have this all the time, have anxiety, and sometimes you may not know what it is. But what I want you to get in your mind, okay, and this is the start of leveling this thing out. This is the start of handling and managing anxiety, is to understand, to acknowledge the source. And most of the time, my friends, that source is ourselves. We're going to face challenging situations. We're going to face fear. We're going to face things that come up in our life that are going to try to cause us to worry and to ruminate and to think about it over and over again. And our anxiety goes through the roof. it's important for you to know, yeah, anxiety is real. Don't get me wrong. Anxiety is very real. However, the sources that we think are causing our anxiety may not be, and most of the time they're not. It's how we are reacting to those things, right? So we've got to start managing our reaction to life events that where we let things get out of control and anxiety starts to govern our lives. So what's the source? That's step one. Step two, has it happened before? More than likely, yes. I mean, this is something that, and I remember from my personal anxieties that it was a lot of the same things over and over and over again, right? So you want to make sure you understand that, yeah, this thing keeps happening. It's happened before. And we're going to put all this together in a little bit. I'll show you how we use these things, how we use these steps. But step number two is, has it happened before? You want to acknowledge, yeah, it probably has. It's several different things, but it's typically, man, it's the same several things over and over again. So we need to acknowledge that with step number two, has it happened before, okay? Step number three. This is a big one, my friends. This is a good one. What was the outcome? Yeah, you're going to have to think back a little bit. Has it happened before? What was the outcome of that specific anxiety? Typically, it's never anywhere near as bad as we thought it up to be. And that's exactly what we do. We think it up. We ruminate. We start replaying these seemingly insurmountable outcomes and these no way outs, and we take ourselves deeper and deeper into anxiety. So we look at the outcome, and that's part of the mindset shift that we're going to have to do with anxiety, is after we've talked about, has it happened before, a specific event, how did it turn out? How did it turn out in the end? And typically, we need to think about that. We need to look at, typically, it doesn't turn out near as bad or anything near what we thought it was going to. A particular situation. Okay? Step number 4. Journal. Yeah. Now, this is where we start putting it all together, my friends. We're going to journal. And these are the things I want you to journal. Your first 3 steps is where we start. We journal step 1. So let's say I'm having an anxiety. Let's say I'm anxious over a particular situation. Let's say it may be at work. Okay? I'm going to get my journal and I'm going to write down I'm having this anxiety about this thing. What's the source? The source is work. Okay? We want to put that down. Now we also want to realize that our reaction to what's going on at work is more about the source than work itself, right? We want to acknowledge that. Then we want to ask ourselves, has it happened before? We want to write that down. Has it happened before? Yes, more than likely, yes. Maybe not, if it hasn't, put no. But more than likely, it has happened before. So, has it happened before? Yes, you want to journal that. Yes, it's happened before. You can even write down the specific days. We don't have to go back and look at your calendar or anything like that. But just think, yeah, last month this happened. Same thing happened. Or maybe it was a year ago, or last week, or even yesterday. Yes, this happened before. Okay. And then we want to write down, what was the outcome? We want to journal, what was the outcome of that particular anxiety? Yes. Now, we've got these things written down here. This is where it really becomes powerful for you, man. I'm telling you, this is where we put in the homework. Now we're going to put it into practice. Here it goes. Let's say you've journaled these things, and maybe it's a paragraph, maybe it's half a page, maybe it's a full page. However much it is, I want you to read through what you just wrote. The source of my anxiety today, has it happened before, and what was the outcome? We want to look at these 3 things. And then I want you to read through those and then narrow it down to 3 words. That's right, 3 words. And I want you to write those 3 words that describe everything you wrote in that paragraph or that page. or maybe it's a few sentences, whatever it is. Condense it down to 3 words and put them at the very top of that page, right above where you just journaled. Condense it down to 3 words. The reason I want you to do this is that you're teaching your mind emotional control. Okay, what we're doing is taking a whole bunch of words that we wrote down, a whole bunch of sentences, however long it is, and we're condensing it down to 3 easy to read words. And when we flip back through that journal, we're going to look at those 3 words and we're going to remember what that whole journal entry was about. What you're doing, my friend, is you're taking, because anxiety can jumble up and scatter our brain and we got 1,000 things going on at once. You know how it is. And man, it's out of control. We can't stop thinking about it. What we're going to do is teach you mind control. We're going to teach you to control those emotions. We're narrowing down the words and the emotions and the thoughts on this sheet of paper in your journal, which in turn are going to help you narrow down those anxieties into more controllable thoughts and emotions. That's the whole point here. So the journaling, man, it's essential. You gotta have it. Okay, I want you, this is a step we cannot skip. And again, once you write down your journal entry, the source, has it happened before, and what was the outcome, no matter how long it is, it may be a few pages, that's fine. But whatever the entry is for that particular anxiety, you're going to narrow it down to 3 words and write them at the top of the page. Okay? And when you flip back through, go back and look, and just look at those 3 words, and you're going to remember what that whole journal was about. Step 5. Visualize positive outcomes. Yeah. When you're experiencing an anxious moment, again, relationship, finances, your health, your career, your job, whatever it may be, start reprogramming your brain, balance things out with some positive thoughts. Start seeing the very outcome about which you're anxious, the very one. And start visualizing, seeing it with your mind, turning out to be positive. My friends, this is so powerful. This is another piece in your 6 steps to go from fear to freedom. This is how you create emotional freedom. You're training your brain to see positive outcomes. Now, it takes time. This isn't going to happen overnight. It takes time, and I'll explain that a little bit. But the more you visualize positivity from an anxious event in your head, the more power you're giving yourself. It's all about repetition here. In other words, when you first do this, you might get a little relief, but the longer you do it, the greater the relief becomes. The extended periods of time you have that you're controlling anxiety, because remember, the source of the anxiety is typically our reaction to it, right? So that's what we want to start working on with our visualizing positive outcomes. When you have that anxiety pop up, visualize something positive. Visualize that particular incident at work, your relationship, your finances. See it, feel it, think it, becoming positive, turning out positive. Okay? Step 6. You're going to love this one. This is another part of gaining control, gaining clarity and control in your mind, because anxiety, we can let it just completely take our control. We can. Let's get some peace, right? Let's get you back to where you want to be and live a happy life. And step 6 is going to definitely help you do that. Here you go. Step 6. Reschedule your anxiety. What in the world is he talking about, reschedule anxiety? Let me explain. Let's say you're in the middle of your day and you're busy, and man, something happens. Life, something with your kiddos, your family, your work, your health, whatever it is, something pops up and that anxiety starts ramping up. Here it comes. Man, it's like poking you. Hey, you're going to pay attention to me. Listen to me. I'm anxiety and I want to take over your mind. You know what I'm talking about. It's relentless. Just like my definition said, it's seemingly relentless. So here's what you can do. Okay, number one, acknowledge the anxiety. Okay, man, this is really starting to bug me. This is really starting to, I'm stressing. I've got this, my anxiety level is rising. I can't stop thinking about it. So what I'm going to do is reschedule it. Let's say it's 10 o'clock in the morning and this anxiety is upon you, man. It's wrapped around you. It's controlling your thoughts. So I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to appease it a little bit. I'm going to reschedule it. I'm going to acknowledge it. Hey, okay, I'm anxious. I'm having an anxiety episode. I'm losing control here. But right now, I need to do my work, and I've got other things I need to take care of. So at 1 o'clock today, I'm going to revisit this anxiety. I'm going to reschedule it. At 1 o'clock, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to take my journal and I'm going to write down the source. Has it happened before? What was the outcome? And then I'm going to narrow it down to 3 words, right? We're going to do all that. But I'm going to reschedule it because I don't have time for anxiety right now. I don't. It's not a good time. So I'm going to reschedule it. Now, here's the key. You want to take your phone or your schedule, wherever your schedule is, and you want to put it in your schedule. This is important, my friends. This is essential to being successful with these 6 steps to go from fear to freedom. You got to schedule it. Open your phone and put at 1 o'clock, meeting with anxiety. I'm going to meet it. I'm going to meet with it. I'm going to face it head on. So you go about your day and 1 o'clock comes up. You got to keep your appointments. Don't just schedule it and not go back to it. You've got to keep that appointment. This is part of the process. So at 1 o'clock, what are you going to do? I'm going to get my journal. I'm going to put down the source. Has it happened before? What was the outcome? And then I'm going to condense it to 3 words. You just gained control. Now it takes time. You're going to have to do this over and over again. But every time you do it, it's going to get a little better. You are taking control back. This is how you do it, my friends. Look, anxiety is really tough to get rid of. It is. I mean, it's something you have to work on just about every day. But let me tell you and don't feel overwhelmed here with me saying that, because what's going to happen is something beautiful. It's something freeing. It's going to free you over time. It's something that's been with you more than likely for quite a while. And you're really good at it. You're really good at letting anxiety come in and just take control. It happens. I know it does. It happened to me years ago. It just really did. And I understand. But over time, you gain control by doing these things. And rescheduling your anxiety is a big step in doing that. Now, you're going to deal with it. And over time, you get better and better and better. Anxiety, a lot of times, doesn't completely go away. It'll come up and, hey, remember me? You think things are going great and it's poking at you and you're like, oh man, not again. And you start to feel guilty. You start to feel like, man, is something really wrong with me? Why can't I deal with this anxiety? You are dealing with it. And the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And the amount of time that it takes you to reduce or eliminate that particular anxiety starts to get shorter and shorter and shorter. You get so good at it that you're really not even going to notice it. But just know there's still going to be challenging times. It's going to be challenging, even though you're doing these 6 steps, which are, man, they work. They work. You're still going to be challenged with anxiety, and you're going to have to deal with it. But you have the tools now, right? Let me tell you a story. A client of mine, I mean, her life was perfect. It was outstanding. And one event happened, and she became anxious about it. She started, and she didn't really know it was anxiety because she never had it before, and all of a sudden she's got it. Well, it wasn't dealt with, and it attached itself to all parts of her life. So now she's really dealing with it in all areas of her life. It got really serious, really serious, disabling. I mean, it affected, she could hardly get out of her house. It was like that. Couldn't eat. Yeah. She met with me. I've been working with her for about 2.5, 3 years now. God, I can't believe it's been that long, almost 3 years. But now, and she went through, I taught her these steps, these 6 steps. I taught her these 6 steps. And at first, she got a little bit of relief. And then over time, that relief grew bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, she still got challenged. And there were times where she'd take her a couple of days or even a full week to apply these steps and do some other things I've taught her to eliminate that anxiety. But she did it. And here's the beauty of it. Here's what's so neat about this story I'm telling you. Is that some of the life experiences that she's facing over this last year, man, if those would have come about before I taught her these 6 steps, it would have been tough. I mean, it would have been a very big, uncertain challenge. I mean, we don't know where she would have ended up, but it'd have been a tough go, man. And I bring that up to her. And now when she faces one of these anxieties, even things that were bigger and more, even the potential of greater anxiety than the stuff she had at her peak of anxiety back then, she gets past them. And some things she just brushes off. Things that would have taken her days and weeks and even months to get over. Now she can do it in a couple of minutes. Again, she still gets challenged. And she has anxiety. But she deals with them because she has the tools. And her confidence, man, it's through the roof. She's done incredible. And you can do the same things. Look, if you have anxiety on any level at all, maybe it's every now and then, maybe it's like full blown every day, every minute, right? You wake up with it and you go to sleep with it. I understand. Use my 6 steps to go from fear to freedom and turn that anxiety into power. And you do that by, number 1, addressing the source. Look at exactly what it is about which you're anxious, right? That's first. But also acknowledge that that's only a catalyst. It's our reaction. It's your reaction to that that's causing the anxiety. Okay? Look at the source. Acknowledge what control you have, because you do have control. Next, has it happened before? Probably. Number 3, what was the outcome? What ended up happening? It's usually never as bad as what we thought it was, not anywhere near it. Number 4, journal it. Journal those 3 things. The source, has it happened before? What was the outcome? And then once you get that journal done for that particular anxiety, condense it down to 3 words and write them at the top and recognize that's you gaining control. Step 5, visualize positive outcomes. When anxiety comes at you, turn it into something positive. Use your brain loves pictures. That's why we dream. That's why we see things when we talk about it. Use the power that you have inside of you and look at those outcomes. Take control. And as anxious as you may be, visualize them turning out positive and watch what happens. You got to keep doing it though. And the last step, hey, it's your day. It's your time. Reschedule those anxieties. You don't have time to deal with it right now. Even if you do have time to deal with it, reschedule it. Open your phone, write it down in your schedule, put it down. This is, okay, it's 10 o'clock. At 1 o'clock, I'm gonna deal with this anxiety. But when 1 o'clock comes up, when that appointment comes up, you got to meet it. You got to meet anxiety head on and do these 6 steps. Write it down. Go through the journal, right? Keep that appointment. When you learn to redirect anxiety and control your reaction to it, you're going to gain clarity and control in your life, not just from the anxiety, but in your life, even if anxiety continuously tries to take it from you, which it may. You're going to have the tools now. Keep your head up. Keep believing in yourself. Never give up. And one day soon, emotional freedom will be yours. I'm Bobby Wisnan. Thanks for listening.